From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey, everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of Amazing Ideas at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's podcast, I do my monthly episode with Ryan Waterbury, and we sit down, we talk about that your website is never fixed and it's always changing. You really want to listen to this one, sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation that Ryan and I had. This episode of the SDM Show is sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency to handle all your WordPress website security needs. Go on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and find out how we can help you secure your website so you no longer have an issue with backups, being hacked, or your website being compromised. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. Today I'm here with Ryan Waterbury and our monthly segment, and we're going to talk about why websites and SEO and all this good stuff is not set it and forget it. How are you today, Ryan?
I'm doing great. It's the first meteorological day of fall, so things are splendid.
Yeah, officially, I think it's like a couple weeks away, but yeah, it's sure starting to feel like fall in probably Minnesota where you are, and certainly in Toronto. It's fall. I'm done. So let's jump into this whole ideology, and there's been a couple tweet threads, and I don't even want to give credit to the tweet threads for a number of reasons, but some people have this idea: you create a website and business owners, and you set it up and you leave it alone and it's going to run great for the next 10 years. So let's talk. How do you feel about that?
Oh, that's blatantly false. And two things. One, you and I are both security experts in the WordPress arena.
Yep.
One, you can't just leave software alone. We both saw during the pandemic when people had more time at home that hacking attempts escalated, up to 2,000%, sometimes higher in a lot of instances. So after that, we saw, I think we're still continually seeing security updates because those hacking attempts for websites haven't slowed down a lot.
Not at all.
So one is just security updates. And that's one of the bare minimums that we need to think about. I think what most people don't realize is all their software gets updated. And a lot of times it's in the background. Although if you're a Windows user, you know how long those software updates can take.
I'm a Windows user, so I do. Yes.
Yeah. But, most of the handhelds, that's, internet-enabled software, your phone, your iPad, any tablets. Android updates your software constantly in the background with security patches daily. And people don't think about that. When we have an open source tool like WordPress or even the other CMSs, Drupal, Joomla, a lot of people say, hey, they're free. Well, kind of. They're DIY. So that means Google's not pushing updates to your site in the background. You need to actually go and manage the updates.
Yep. It's true. You need an update plan in place to manage those updates. And, one of my good friends is Robert Rowley, who's the developer advocate up at PatchStack. And as you know, I know the security team quite well as well. And what I'll tell people is it's better to patch than not to patch. So I 100% agree with that. And just a little plug is if you can't do that stuff, and you don't want to do it, reach out to Ryan or Ryan. I mean, we can certainly help you with that. There's a lot of expertise here in that arena, is there not, right?
Yeah, I talked about security updates, but there's a lot that goes into that management and that plan.
Mm-hmm.
And, I call it web care because it really is care and attention to maintaining a site. Those updates, for security or new functionality, because we work in an open source environment and everybody is working on their own siloed projects to do a specific thing, maybe, or if their tools overlap, those updates can break things. So when we talk about a website not ever being done, and when we manage in that care environment, we do scheduled backups and backups before updates to make sure that, hey, when we do those updates, everything works. And if it doesn't, we can roll back and start diagnosing those issues.
And at the time of this record, 6.02 for WordPress has just come out. And if you look at the release notes for it, there was 3 major security updates, and I think there was a total of about, give or take, 16 or 17 bug fixes. And I certainly wouldn't do updates like those without doing a backup ahead of time. That's just the way I roll and the way you roll. And it's the right way to roll, to be honest.
Yeah, it was, much needed security updates that were taken care of in core. And that's one misnomer that I think WordPress as a whole has gotten, is that it's not secure. And part of that is people don't manage their updates. There was a site that I managed for a few years for a client, and then they had personnel change, and they said, nope, we're going to take care of it. And things started not working, and it was a nonprofit org. And a member from the board reached out independent to me and said, hey, I'm going to get this approved as an expense in the next meeting, but hey, can you come in and look for something for me? Well, I went and looked at the site, and I think they had 46 updates that needed to be run. Some were core WordPress updates, plugins, themes. It was pretty ugly, and I said, I can see why things aren't working. It wasn't my responsibility to do that. But their person that they had sent in charge just went and button mashed after I had let that board member know you need to do those updates, because there were a few security updates in core at that point.
Yep.
They updated everything and found themselves down for almost a month.
Yep, I would agree. But security updates are kind of only one part of the equation. And one of the things I think business owners don't do a real good job of is updating things like hours. So, especially in the month of December, especially in long weekends, we're going into the Labor Day long weekend. They don't think to go to their hour page, and a lot of us list hours on the contact page. I know I do. Go in and change those hours. Say you're closed on a holiday Monday, or you open. I know, website aside, Google Business Pages sends out an email and says, are you open Labor Day weekend? They actually remind you to change your Google hours. Well, you should be changing your website hours as well. And certainly in the month of December, if you're retail, because many retail places have funky hours and they change all the time, right?
Oh, absolutely. And this is this is a point when people should start thinking about marketing for, Black Friday, but that's another discussion. Ahead of that, not only updating your hours, but, I've seen businesses with personnel changes. Somebody found my contact information on from a board position on a nonprofit board that I hadn't been on in over a year. Mm-hmm. They hadn't updated their information. So the little things like that, content updates, just for the basic info, like who is the contact person? Has your phone number changed? You talked about hours, but there's other information that's relevant. If you're an organization that's working on a specific project, are you writing a blog post about it to let your donors and your supporters know? And as a business, are you developing a new product? What are you doing? And your blog is really a nice way to keep fresh content out to people that are following you that want to do business with you. If you're not updating that content, one, your avid fans think you're not doing anything. I'll just say it like that. But two, Google thinks you're not doing anything, and your site starts to slip and drop in rankings because it's not seen as relevant anymore, and that it's kind of a dead site.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. And then the other thing is even just general stuff like, did you add a landing page? Do you have a new product that needs a landing page? That changes the website. Did you, if you're, say, a jeweler, did you think to update your images on your site every couple months to give it a new, fresh look to get people coming back? Did you update catalogs if you're selling products? If you have a WooCommerce store, did you think to update your new products and get rid of the old products that you no longer carry? And the WooCommerce site is an ever-changing site. Did you update your inventory in the back end? Things like that. Like it sounds so basic, but so many people don't do it.
Yeah, and sometimes it comes down to just a lack of knowledge on that they should be doing it. Yeah. Sometimes it's a lack of time and organization on who should do these things. And you earlier in the podcast, you talked about a plan for updates, and that doesn't just apply. When we started talking about security updates and just regular software updates, that absolutely applies to content and who's going to update what and when. And 9 times out of 10, I find that businesses don't have anyone assigned to take care of those content updates. And I'll say 6 out of 10 don't have anyone managing their security.
Yep. That's a big problem. And I always say, if you're not going to do it yourself, find somebody to do it for you. So that's kind of a common phrase. And then the biggest one I got, and we were talking about this before we went to record, but I'll share it again, is I got a call a couple weeks ago from a client. And he said, I want some SEO stuff done, and I want a one-time shot in my site all fixed, and that's magically going to fix everything, and then we're done. And I have a bit of a problem with that philosophy, and I'm sure you do.
Honestly, I look at that two ways. I have a lot of clients referred to me that started out DIY on various number of platforms. A lot of them are WordPress, and that basic markup and the basic technical SEO was never done. So that one shot cleaning up, it gives them a boost, and they see some results right away. Because they should. When you format things in the way that Google wants to see them, just from a basic standpoint of markup, you see a boost and you start seeing increases. And then those clients that want that one shot think they're done until 6 months later, 9 months later, all of a sudden their rankings have dropped back down to where they were because they didn't do any other content updates. What Google and the other search engines like to see is continual, gradual progress, and they want to see it consistently. One of the things that just happened with the core algorithm update, it's called the helpful content update, and it's another attempt to swat the useless AI crap content out there. What Google's focusing on is you need to write for humans and you need to write content that's useful for them. So for myself and for yourself, Rob, I try and write how-to articles or helpful tips for small businesses on how they can improve things in their business from a technology standpoint or a marketing standpoint, because I think that's helpful for them. And that's how I get my pages ranked. Now, if I'm crawling and using an AI writer and writing an article, what's a marketing funnel, and it looks like everyone else's, Google's probably not going to rank that very well.
No, they're not.
So, but that's kind of the key, and it gets back to writing things that are original and personal to your audience. So I think that's going to help a lot of the small businesses out there that are doing content themselves when they schedule time to do it, and they're going to start to see more results. But that one shot cleanup, hey, you'll see a big boost if your site was not ever established appropriately. But SEO it's a long game, and it's a continual process. And once you stop, you may see some long-lasting results if you've done some things correctly. But over time, if you're not continually producing, the search engines see you as becoming stagnant and not helpful anymore.
No, it's true. And the thing is too is one of the things I look for when I do SEO stuff is what's trending. And that's a big factor. And if you don't know what's trending, and you're not changing your website, how do you adjust for that? Or how do you adjust? Another strategy in SEO is looking at what your competitors are doing. Well, if they make a change and you're not adjusting your website appropriately to keep you in the market, how do you make that change? I mean, there's just so much there. And I think some of it is people not understanding, but I also think a lot of it is people not having proper marketing budgets. And SEO and websites are a marketing function that generates leads. And that's what we got to realize is it's not just a brochure you throw out there. The design of it is to actually generate leads.
Absolutely. I worked in print for a long time, and that's how I started doing some websites is, I did consulting and workflow automation and and color science and technology for printing companies. But some of them and some of the graphic designers that I worked with back then said, "Hey, I need a website. I hear we just need one." And there was, some old school mentality that, hey, it's just a thing. We just need it. And there wasn't a real understanding of why they needed it. Well, the reality is, when was the last time you used Yellow Pages?
Well, last time you saw a payphone around where Yellow Pages sat.
Exactly. So your website is your Yellow Pages entry, and the search engine, Google, DuckDuckGo, Bing, Yahoo, that's how people find you. And if your site doesn't specifically spell out what someone's looking for and has content that's relevant to your service that your buyer wants, they're not going to find you. And the farther down you get from the top 3 spots in a Google search, and especially if you're off of page 1, good luck. You're really going to have a hard time finding customers, through a search. So SEO is absolutely important. And sure, PPC falls into that, but I think a lot of people understand that those are paid results now. So people are smart enough not to click that, and they will go down the page and look for the organic results, or at least I do. And if you're not in there, people don't know about you at all.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, moving forward, we've kind of thrown around some ideas of things that change on websites. So I think if you've listened to this podcast, you kind of get the idea where we keep saying websites are continually changing and have work that continually need to be done. I think the two things that companies need to put together, one is a time budget, and two, put together a proper marketing budget to govern their website and anything assets that are around the website. What do you think about that?
Oh, I absolutely. I think first that, it's identifying, it might be a person, but if you're a one man shop, it's absolutely time. And I've built some checklists that I offer for free, and they're helpful to establish that time budget. I talk about some of the time involved with certain tasks, like who's in charge of running your backups, who's maintaining software licenses, and some people just don't think about those things. Yeah, it's like Netflix. You sign up for the subscription, and it's on auto bill every month, and you forget about it.
Yep.
Can't necessarily do that
And
with
part of
web
the
stuff.
problem why it gets forgotten about with web stuff, frankly, is web care owners like you and I know I certainly don't forget. They don't think to send out their list of clients that write an email that's not their normal email, their newsletter. Maybe it's geared towards just the clients. They don't think to do stuff like have some kind of a portal, whether you build one or you use like you do ClickUp. They don't think to communicate on a regular basis with their clients. And that's a bit of a problem. And that's why it gets forgotten about.
Yeah, the outreach strategy. More and more people are leaving the major social media platforms,
Yep.
and a lot of businesses, from the late 2000s, a lot of them would spin up a Facebook business page and call it good. Can't do that anymore because it's buried. Facebook tries to show organic content from your friends feeds and paid content. So guess what? You need to have a website, and you need to own your content. And you talked about an email list, and I think it's important. I think every business needs an email list of some fashion, and whether you're a small business like a tailor shop, or a large e-com store, communicating that out of office time for that small shop, is helpful to your client list. If they're regular clients, then they know that, hey, you're not there. Or if you're running a special that they might want to take advantage of. Email list is a great way to do it, or post it on your website.
Yep. Or both even, because some people don't subscribe to us and some people do. So I would actually do both, but that's just my personal experience.
Yeah. Your website, is a constant evolution of, it's your number one marketing tool. And, there's a lot of nuts and bolts from the technical upkeep to the content upkeep, and building a plan and figuring out how much time that you can invest. And I say invest because it's not an expense, it's an investment into your marketing budget that really needs to be thought about.
Yep. It's so true. So I think we've, given some people ideas to think about. If somebody wants to get a hold of you to talk more, Ryan, how's the best way?
You can find me at One Dog Solutions on every major social media platform. My website, onedog.solutions, or email me at ryan.waterbury@onedog.solutions.
And make sure you ask Ryan why his office staff, Bud and Shooter, really don't do any work these days, because that's an interesting problem in itself, is it not?
It is. Thankfully, they are taking naps and being quiet during recording right now.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. Have a great day.
You too.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. This episode of the SDM Show is sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency to handle all your WordPress website security needs. Go on over to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and find out how we can help you secure your website so you no longer have an issue with backups, being hacked, or your website being compromised. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. A very special thank you to Ryan for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. Thank you for listening to this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Rob Cairns and Stunning Digital Marketing. For more information about Rob Cairns and Stunning Digital Marketing, go to stunningdigitalmarketing.info. From here, you can connect to us on social media, go to our website, and even go to the podcast to subscribe. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Make your business succeed.